Positive Spin, presenting positive, innovative, and solution-oriented news from around the world. On today's program, we feature highlights from the 2011 Peace Day Global Broadcast, the world's first internet-based media event to stream live from the United Nations 365 days a year. And we'll hear music and backstage interviews from the recent Muse 2 concert, promoting safe and renewable energy and support for the victims of the Fukushima nuclear power plant meltdown in Japan. Then, we'll learn about the Living Seed Company's innovative approach to creating specialized seed varieties and sharing them with local and international communities. And finally, we'll experience the Plug-in America electric car parade in Santa Monica, promoting the new fuel-efficient vehicles that are the wave of the future.
In our first segment, we present highlights from the Peace Day 2011 Global Broadcast, which streamed live from the official website of the United Nations and on the websites of more than 2,000 organizations from around the world. The broadcast gave focus to the vitally important work of the UN, its humanitarian agencies, and thousands of organizations working for peace, the environment, human rights, and social and economic justice. This year's event also featured personal messages from UN messengers of peace and celebrities. The broadcast, which was produced by Unity Foundation and All Things Peace, utilized the technology of the first ever Peace Cloud. Let's learn more about this innovative and positive use of technology for the best possible purpose, bringing together and promoting the organizations working to create a better world.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Paul, and peace really does begin with you and me. I believe that if we are peaceful in our daily life, that collective consciousness will positively affect governments and we will have fewer wars. So, each of us can start by 1, solving differences with others in our life through openness and understanding. No yelling and hurtfulness. 2, treating everyone we meet with kindness, patience, and respect. 3, eating only foods which cause no cruelty or suffering to animals or humans, which means eating a plant-based, fair trade diet. And lastly, maybe the hardest, is talking less and listening more. Happy Peace Day.
Welcome to the annual Peace Day Global Broadcast in celebration of the International Day of Peace. Once again this year, I'm your North American co-host, Stephen Vantel, along with Kevin Kerber.
In the European Daylight Hours, Dr. Michael Dolgoruki will be hosting in German, Spanish, and English languages.
You're watching the Peace Day Global Internet Broadcast celebrating the United Nations International Day of Peace. The Peace Day Global Internet Broadcast promotes the United Nations, its agencies, funds, and programs around the world working for peace, the environment, human rights, and social and economic justice.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm delighted to see so many of you here for this annual ceremony. Let me offer you a special welcome to the messengers of peace and the many children joining us today. The annual ringing of the peace bell is always a deeply moving occasion. I'm very much moved personally as Secretary General of the United Nations to administer this peace bell ringing ceremony, and I'm grateful for your all efforts to preserve peace and security. So on this International Day of Peace, let us take stock of our efforts to promote peace and well-being for all people everywhere. Let us nurture what we have already accomplished. Let us dedicate ourselves to all we have yet to do. I call on people around the world to observe a minute of silence at noon today. And I call for a day of global ceasefire, a 24-hour respite from the fear and insecurity that plague so many places. On this International Day, let us promise to make peace not just our priority, but our passion. Let us pledge to do more, wherever we are, in whatever way we can, to make every day a day of peace.
Peace worldwide starts from inside. We gotta find a better way that we can be. Peace worldwide starts from inside. Go ahead and let your mind, body, soul be free. Peace worldwide starts from inside. The answer and solution always starts with me. Peace worldwide starts from inside. If you wanna save the world, be the change you want.
People across the world join hands on the Stand Up, Speak Out campaign, which is part of the UN's effort to promote the Millennium Development Goals.
Stand up against poverty is the rallying call throughout the world today.
It's one point in time when people across the world collectively come together and raise their voice, and that's very, very important. It is ultimately the responsibility of governments to deliver on the Millennium Development Goals, but it is the responsibility of citizens to make sure that the governments do deliver and are accountable.
Stand up and speak out is an opportunity for the voiceless to raise their voice.
Stand up, everybody round the world, I mean man, woman, boy, and girl. Come on, stand up, everybody round the world, I'm talking man, woman, boy, and girl. Stand up.
Okay, peace and love everybody, peace and love. Yes, my name is Ringo, and I'm here to make you aware on the 21st of September, it's the International Day and Moment of Peace. So I'm here on behalf of the UN General Secretary to let you know that at noon on the 21st, it's a Tuesday, that we can have a moment of silence for peace. I'm going to have my moment now. Ooh, I feel good. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love.
All we are saying is give peace a chance. That's all we're saying.
I'm happy to have in our studio two of the people behind the technology that allows us to run this.
One of the big barriers that we have when we want to try to collaborate together in this room or across the whole planet like we're doing for Peace Day is the trading of content, the clearance of the copyrights, making sure that we do everything legally.
I gotta tell you, that's going to make my life so much easier, because I do have a lot of people who say to me, I would like you to play my content on Peace Day TV, either for the International Day of Peace or sometimes throughout the year.
We added the idea of geographically locating your event or your station. The idea being is that your peace organization may be geographically located, and I as a user want to see the events that are happening around me.
Welcome back to the Peace Day 2011.
In the following segment, we'll see a short film on the recent Muse 2 concert in the San Francisco Bay Area, promoting the vitally important need for safe and renewable energy. This special concert event was produced in response to the devastating nuclear power plant accident in Japan. The concert brought together many of the prominent musicians that created the first Muse concerts in the late 70s and early 80s, including Jackson Browne, Bonnie Raitt, and Crosby, Stills and Nash. The film was produced by All Things Peace for the Peace Day Global broadcast. Let's hear the words and music of these dedicated anti-nuclear activists.
In a difficult breath, she reached for the phone. She knew she needed friends and didn't want to be left alone. It wasn't like her to have her feelings hurt, but everybody hits a wall. Everybody needs a call.
You know what? I created for my life the possibility of being an activist about 2 years ago. And I put that message out there, and it's come to me in such big ways. And then, of course, seeing what happened in Japan, I live only 20 miles from the San Onofre power station. I live in Oceanside, California. And I said, you know, if an earthquake and or a tidal wave hit my area, which it can, and this thing were to happen, does that mean I would have to move? Would our whole way of life change?
I'm coming to your rescue. Coming to your rescue.
Group that makes a lot of money off of keeping us ignorant and deregulation, so they can go out and play with our financial future and play with our health and play with our debt for money.
But it ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware.
The person said always it's not affect immediately, but it's our DNA, the radiations attack it. We had a damage. And then we should focus more long-term for the next generation, right after the generation. It's the damaged DNA, how are we going to do? Is it damaged and then more damaged? And then it's going to be mess.
But your question about the new media, I really find it's you know, it's so much more democratic, and people are really exchanging information. For example, the Japanese government got somebody hired in Fukushima that is going around saying lies, and even saying things like, you know, radiation doesn't come to people when they're laughing and happy, it comes to people who are weak-spirited.
734,000 people died as a result of Chernobyl. When did you ever hear anything about it in today's media? We all know that today's media owners, you could probably count on 2 hands. They don't want this information out there. They just want you to be sheep. Lie down, buy another pair of sneakers, buy a soft drink, and shut the f up while we rob you. That's what's going on.
Stephen Stills and Bonnie Raitt playing guitar together. We have one more song for you, and we know that you know this song. We're going to invite everybody to come back. Anyone that wants to come and sing on this song, I'm sure you know it. John, you want to come and sing with it?
Come on, man. It's a little country tune which you all know. And we know you know how to sing. We heard you do it.
So Jonathan Wilson and Tom Morell, Kitaro, Jason Mraz, and Toka.
Kitaro, Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Yeah! The Doobie Brothers.
Guy Davis. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. God bless. 1, 2, 3. Grew on the road, must have a code that you can live by.
I think John Lennon said it best. Let's give peace a chance. Think about it. The future's in our hands.
At Positive Spin, we highlight organizations and socially responsible businesses that are innovative and solution-oriented. We were recently introduced to the Living Seed Company that takes an innovative approach to planting seeds of peace in local communities. The company's purpose is to bring together families, friends, and communities through the activity of growing food together and then saving and sharing the seeds from their gardens. They believe this activity is one of the best ways to achieve inner harmony and global prosperity. All of their seeds are open-pollinated, organic, or grown on small natural farms, non-GMO, untreated, and vigorous. In 2012, they will be offering collections adapted to northern short-season climates, southern long-season climates, a collection suited to urban settings and small spaces, and even a salsa garden collection. The Living Seed Company donates one collection for every 10 sold to a school garden program, youth group, or other suitable charities, such as women's groups in India and the Congo, inner-city urban gardens, environmental groups, and school garden programs. The Living Seed Company also educates about the importance and how-to of seed saving. They host a seed school and speak at farmers markets, schools, and many other venues. Let's learn more about this fascinating approach to creating peace and community.
Hi, I'm Astrid.
And I'm Matthew.
And we are the Living Seed Company.
We're a small heirloom seed company that offers collections of seeds.
And by offering our seeds in collections, we take the guesswork out of gardening.
We offered our first collection this year, the Founders Collection, which is a widely adapted collection, well suited for most growing conditions. We've selected varieties in our collections for food production, not just quantity, but also nutrition, things that store a long time, things that are versatile in the culinary arts, things that are widely adapted and extreme weather tolerant, things that are easier to grow, and also things that are really interesting.
All of our seeds are open pollinated and they're not hybrid. And what that means is that you can save the seeds and the offspring will end up being exactly like the parent. Whereas with hybrids, you will not know what you're going to get, and sometimes they are sterile.
Another thing about open pollinated seeds that's really beautiful, probably the most beautiful aspect, is that you get to adapt these plants to your location. So every time you harvest the seeds from your garden, that plant learns how to deal with your environment.
And also takes the petroleum out of seeds, because what a lot of people don't realize is seeds are transported all over the country and all over the world, and we try to keep things as local as possible, and when you're saving your own seeds, you're sourcing them from your own backyard.
Painted mountain corn, it's a flower corn. Not so long ago here in the United States, the people knew how to use this quite a bit. One of the things we want to do is educate or re-educate people about how to use flower corns and also the other varieties that we offer.
When people start connecting with their food system, they not only begin appreciating it more and realizing where it comes from, but they also start connecting on a deeper level to the essence of life, and that is the seed.
We've sent a lot of these collections around the world and have had really good results with our widely adapted collection.
We also started the Giving Seeds program, which is our way of giving back to the community. And for every 10 collections that we sell, we donate one to a youth group program or a garden program around the world.
Women's groups in India, in the Congo. We also do a lot with urban city gardens and farms.
Youth groups here in the Bay Area and other urban organizations such as Planting Justice and City Slicker Farms. Through these programs, we're just hoping to really bring the process of seed saving back to these young people so that they can be empowered to start seed saving themselves.
Now we want to show you a little bit of seed saving technique. We're going to start off with these amazing Galena tomatoes. These were brought back from the Soviet Union by our seed mentor and teacher Bill McDorman in the late 90s. Saving tomatoes is really easy. They're a perfect flower, which means both male and female parts are inside of the flower, and they self-pollinate. These little guys, you can just put inside the jar. Make sure you're wearing clothes you don't mind getting a little dirty, because sometimes they explode. Squeeze out the tomato, and there you go. Have a bowl or something handy that you can put that in, because then you can use the rest of the tomato to make a sauce, ketchup, soup, something like that. You know, once you get a fair amount of seeds in there, you're gonna let it sit in the juice for a day to 3 days, depending on how ripe the tomatoes are. You want the tomatoes to be fully ripe. Anytime you're saving seeds, you want that vegetable or fruit to be fully ripe. After a day or 3, there will be a small amount of mold growing on the very top, and that mold is actually beneficial. It's something that has co-evolved with the tomato. And then what you want to do is add some water. All of the good seeds are going to sink to the very bottom. The bad seeds are going to float to the top. You'll take a strainer and then you'll pour it out. And then you do this a few times, because it's going to help get the rest of the particles of the flesh from the tomato. Once it's all good seeds and you've got most of the chunks of tomatoes out of there, you're gonna pour it over the strainer, and then you're going to gently rinse those and get any of the last pieces of tomato flesh out of there. You want to let that dry for a week, 10 days, maybe 2, depending on your humidity. And when you can kind of break the seed with your fingernail, when it kind of snaps instead of bends, you know that that seed is dry. And you'll have some great tomato seeds that you grew for yourself and adapted to your garden. Squash seeds are relatively easy to process. The one concern you want to have is in the initial growing of the squashes. If you're growing multiple squashes, or if your neighbors are growing squashes, you want to be concerned about cross-pollination. Information about that you can find in the basic seed saving booklet or other seed saving references. Cut open the squash. Delicately, try to cut without cutting the seeds. I'm sure if you've ever eaten or baked squash, you've done this process, and you just want to do it in a strainer.
And then you just pour cold water over it. Definitely do not use hot water. And then just start removing the seeds from the pulp. Once you have removed all the pulp, just rinse it once again with water and place the seeds in a clean plate.
Screens are ideal, plates will work. Dry them in a warm, dry location. You'd want to turn them a bit, once or twice a day.
You do not want to leave them in direct sun.
And being a small seed company like we are, we really want you to know that we're available. So you can give us a call anytime. If we're not in the fields, we're normally around. Yeah, using social media, we also want to really create a larger community with the Living Seed Company. People sending their stories, their photos, their successes, their difficulties, a place where people feel connected, where they can share, and really feel like it's an extended community. On our blog, we have recipes and ideas for how to use these varieties. We also, as part of our educational outreach program, we host a seed school with our friend, teacher, and mentor, Bill McDormand from Native Seed Search. It's an opportunity for people from diverse backgrounds to come together and learn about the miracle of seeds, both the history and the present situation, as well as how to grow, how to process, all of the different tricks, and also the possibility of starting your own seed company or library or seed exchange. As we grow, we want to be able to continue to give more seeds away, and if we ideally succeed, we'll end up putting ourselves out of business. But the world would be a really good place if we did.
Thank you for visiting us.
We look forward to hearing from you.
Happy gardening!
I'm Ed Asner, and you're watching Positive Spin Television, presenting positive, innovative, and solution-oriented news from around the world.
In our final segment, we'll see Positive Spin's coverage of National Plug-in Day in Santa Monica, California, where electric vehicle drivers came together in a parade of more than 200 vehicles. Everything from motorcycles to cars to vans to trucks, even electric buses. Now, the purpose of National Plug-in Day is to educate the public to the fact that electric vehicles are here and they're here to stay. Hi, it's Bill McCarthy. We're here with Positive Spin. We're at the annual Plug-in America Parade, which will go down Main Street in Santa Monica, and it recognizes all of the achievements in the development of the new electric cars. This vehicle here is one of Santa Monica's electric vehicles, a city at the forefront of using electric vehicles. Now, many other cities are now getting up to the bat as well and doing their part to turn things around to save our environment.
My hero, Janice Hahn, one of 2 members of Congress that has an electric.
I have an electric car because I've been driving them since 1970. I reasoned back then, when the smog was so horrible in LA, that if I stopped buying gasoline, that it would be better for the air. I was correct. The air is much better than it was back in 1970. Why? Because we've cleaned up a lot of regular cars, and we've moved towards other renewable fuels and what have you, and we're starting to do this kind of stuff where we have really clean vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We have a Chevy Volt right here, and this is the new Tesla, and up here is a Nissan Leaf. These 3 are the major cars that are being developed to use electric energy to power them. It's the wave of the future. It's where we need to go. Well, that's our show for today. We hope this program has inspired you to take action in your local community to create a better world. And we want to remind you that everyone can make a difference. Go out and make some positive news.